When a manager at a high-end car dealership thought he could belittle Melania Trump, assuming she was an easy target, he had no clue he was about to provoke the fury of a man ready to risk it all to defend his family. Before we get started, please share in the comments where you're tuning in from, ma'am. Currently, it appears that there are no openings for cleaning positions. Manager Richard Davidson looked on with disdain as Melania Trump entered Harrison Luxury Motors, a renowned car dealership in New York. His voice oozed with sarcasm. His gaze locked onto her with blatant contempt. Melania, arriving solo in search of a single ordinary day free from the clutches of politics and the glaring DC spotlight, squared her shoulders with determination. I'm looking to buy a vehicle, not seeking employment. Oh, Davidson's lips twisted into a wicked grin. My apologies. It's simply that observing your disheveled look caught me off guard. I took it for granted that he waved her off, fully aware of her designer attire and her identity. That very morning, he had been boasting to his team about how he would never permit a Trump in his showroom. I am Melania Trump, she declared with conviction, and I anticipate being treated with the same respect as any other patron. Melania Trump Davidson's feigned astonishment failed to conceal his escalating animosity. Honestly, you appear quite different in person, older and heavier. What's going on? A number of patrons were taken aback by his overt disregard. A young sales associate moved to step in, but Davidson cast a menacing glare that left him paralyzed. The staff's anxious responses hinted that their manager's true nature had been revealed before, and it was clear this wouldn't be the last blunder he would commit that day. I deserve basic respect just like any human being, no matter your political views, Melania asserted with conviction, her accent becoming more pronounced as her emotions intensified. Oh, I am entitled to fundamental respect. Davidson ridiculed, mimicking her accent in a clumsy manner. Did you just claim to be a human being? No, you're a Trump that's quite distant from humanity. Your presence poses a danger to this world, a source of universal shame. His voice escalated in volume. It's evident that seeking an audience, we don't cater to your kind here. Perhaps consider focusing on mastering proper English first. Other patrons shifted in their seats, clearly uneasy. The showroom's immaculate stillness was disrupted solely by Davidson. Words becoming sharper, yet if you're willing to humble yourself and scrub our floors, I might just entertain that role after all. At least then, your imperfect English wouldn't be of much concern, he said with a clear smirk. Relishing his fleeting sense of authority, the sales team cast anxious looks at one another. One of them, a younger woman, appeared on the verge of tears, yet no one had the courage to utter a word. Davidson's notoriety for seeking revenge on those who opposed him was widely recognized. Inside these confines, what troubles you? Davidson circled Melania with an intensity reminiscent of a predator sensing its prey. Unable to stand up for yourself without your partner by your side and your fashionable attire. You can't conceal your true self. Melania's response was delivered with a chilling grace. You are the only one revealing your authentic self in this situation. Are you implying something menacing? Davidson's expression twisted into a playful semblance of terror. Oh, I'm feeling quite anxious. What will your next move be? Reach out to your husband. He leaned in closer, his voice sinking to a sinister whisper. This is my space, governed by my standards, and I declare that you are not invited here. Melania's calmness appeared to intensify Davidson's fury. You believe you stand out with your stylish attire and your husband in politics. Allow me to reveal your true nature. A fortunate opportunist seeking wealth. That's merely a faded figure who stumbled upon fortune. He elevated his tone, ensuring that all present could catch every word. And now you and your husband dedicate your efforts to dismantling all that contributes to the greatness of this country. You are both imposters, leeches, thriving on the efforts of diligent Americans. The sole deception I observe, Melania responded with composure, is a man who resorts to intimidating women to assert his strength. Davidson's expression contorted in rage. This was not unfolding as he had envisioned. She wasn't fleeing in tears instead. She remained composed and regal, causing him to appear increasingly ridiculous with every second that ticked by. With intensity he spat, I will demonstrate strength. I have some thoughts about you and your entire family that I'd like to share. You're merely a spectacle, a source of amusement. Your husband is quite the character. Those who stand by you are merely a punchline. The showroom fell into an eerie hush. All gazes were riveted on the dramatic spectacle before them. And you know what's truly amusing? Davidson continued, his voice laced with disdain. You genuinely believe you fit in here in my showroom with those who have truly achieved success. He waved his hand dramatically, indicating the people around him. Gaze into the reflection before you. Darling, those budget-friendly imitations can't conceal your true essence. Just another fame-seeking opportunist whom Mr. Davidson Melania silenced with a voice as sharp as steel. Each jab you make only highlights your own insecurities. His nostrils expanded. She refused to yield in a way that he determined was unacceptable. Davidson's gaze flicked toward the security guards stationed by the entrance. Do you realize something? I've had enough of this ridiculous security, he exclaimed. Demonstrate to Mrs. Trump how we handle individuals who do not belong in our establishment. The two guards shared uneasy looks but remained still. Are you listening to me? Davidson's voice ascended to a piercing pitch. I instructed, take her away. That's the reason I compensate you. A guard cleared his throat. Sir, I have my doubts about that. Do you really believe that Davidson interrupted him? Your role is to execute, not to ponder. I compensate you to adhere to instructions. His face was taking on a concerning hue of crimson. Or perhaps you would prefer to accompany her in the queue for unemployment benefits. The showroom had fallen into such silence that the faintest sound of a pin dropping could be distinctly heard. The scene unfolded before the eyes of every customer and employee, evoking a blend of horror and fascination in all who witnessed it. Melania's voice resonated distinctly throughout the room. Isn't this the way you treat everyone? Not just me, anyone who refuses to submit to your illusions of control. Illusions. Davidson spun around to confront her. This place is mine. I have the freedom to pursue my desires. He was nearly frothing at the mouth now. What I desire now is for you to leave. Your entire family of deceivers and tricksters. He marched up to Melania, his finger thrusting emphatically into the air. You believe you hold a superior position over me. You hold no significance. Your husband is insignificant. Simply a collection of Mr. Davidson. A commanding voice pierced through his TI. Journey. A senior gentleman wearing a veteran's cap emerged from the throng. That will suffice. Davidson whirled, his eyes ablaze with fury. And who are you to dictate what constitutes enough in my showroom? I'm merely an individual who's witnessed my fair share of bullies throughout my life. The seasoned individual responded with composure, his disciplined demeanor apparent in his stance. What you're doing here goes beyond mere unprofessionalism. It goes against the very essence of what America stands for. Davidson's laugh was harsh and piercing. Un-American. Well, look who's speaking. The fellow who visits weekly just to browse the displays? He faced the showroom, his expression dripping with dramatic contempt. Are you curious about this hero? He can't even manage to buy lunch, much less any vehicle in the showroom. The seasoned individual remained unperturbed. The matter at hand isn't about my finances. Your actions reflect my actions. Davidson's voice oozed with sarcasm. I apologize. Did I offend your sensitive emotions? Perhaps you and Mrs. Trump could establish a support group together. He waved his hand, indifferent to the shattered and the exquisite. Kindly leave my showroom before I have to involve security. Eliminate both of you. It's unnecessary. Melania advanced, her poise unwavering. We'll depart on our own, she said, glancing at the veteran. Gratitude fills the air as they approached the exit, acknowledging the kindness extended to them. Davidson found himself unable to hold back one last clever remark. Indeed, flee from the situation. Perhaps you both could consider applying at the dollar store. I've heard they have job openings. Unbeknownst to Davidson, Melania was discreetly tapping away on her phone as she exited precisely 15 minutes later. He would discover, through experience, that certain conflicts are decided long before they ever commence. Davidson walked confidently back to the center of the showroom, exuding an air of triumph and flair. And that, esteemed audience, is how we engage with the supporters of Trump. Within my domain, he faced his quaking team. What is it that has captured your attention? Time to dive back into the tasks at hand. These cars require a proactive approach to find their buyers. Yet, an undeniable shift had occurred in the ambience. Patrons were subtly making their way toward the doors. The sales team shared knowing looks. It was as if the security guards were deliberately steering clear of making eye contact with their superior. What's the matter with everyone? Davidson's voice resonated through the dwindling showroom, commanding attention. Feels as though I've done something terribly wrong. I simply confronted those fools. In an instant, the unmistakable purr of a Rolls-Royce engine pierced the heavy silence. The noise intensified, drawing nearer across the dealership's floor. Before the expansive ceiling windows, a sleek black figure glided to a halt right at the entrance. A vehicle that drew the eye, a vehicle that signified a no-nonsense approach. Davidson's self-satisfied grin started to diminish as the driver's door swung open. No, he whispered, his face losing all its color. The towering figure that emerged from the Rolls-Royce was unmistakable, with that distinctive silhouette, determined stride, and a look of controlled fury. Donald Trump had arrived, and his intentions were far from purchasing a car security. Davidson growled, noticing Trump coming closer. Do not allow that man to come close to the security guards, who were both significantly smaller than Trump, as they tightened up in anticipation of his approach. My issue doesn't lie with you. The sound of Trump's voice resonated throughout the showroom. Consider your decision thoroughly before purchasing this fight. The guards exchanged glances and stood still as Trump strode by them. Davidson's expression twisted in fear as he shouted at his security team. What are you up to? I instructed, do not allow him to go by. He cried out, his voice laced with desperation. Yet Trump was already inside, advancing with determination toward Davidson, who, despite his growing apprehension, endeavored to uphold his authority. Excuse me, but this area is private property. Leave my showroom, please. Trump pressed forward, while the manager started to retreat. As Trump approached, Davidson instinctively backed away, but in a moment of misfortune, he stumbled over an unseen object and fell, his face colliding with the edge of a chair. Melania raised her hands, a silent plea for Trump to halt his approach. Trump, observing that the floor and chair had already accomplished what he had set out to do, remarked, "You're fortunate that chair handled the task I was planning to undertake, as my approach would have been far more severe for you." Davidson rose unsteadily, the remnants of his former arrogance stripped away. What did I do? Why are you being so confrontational with me? He attempted to portray himself as the victim, yet his voice became increasingly tinged with fear as he sought to apologize, while Trump stood firm, defending his wife with a sense of honor. One should never interfere with the spouse of another man. Trump's voice resonated powerfully throughout the showroom. It's time to rise and shine. If you have the courage to insult a woman, then have the courage to confront me. Davidson rose unsteadily, his legs quivering beneath him. Mr. Trump, if you would be so kind. You simply don't grasp it. I see it clearly now. Trump's gaze burned with intensity. I see you believed you were strong, ridiculing my wife's accent and belittling her looks. It takes a certain kind of courage to target someone you assumed wouldn't stand up for themselves. I was simply observing how Trump took yet another step forward, merely acting like a bully, merely demonstrating to everyone how big and powerful he is. His voice oozed disdain. Here lies your opportunity. I am present. Why not say those insults directly to me? Davidson pressed himself against a display car. Sir, I assure you, I did not intend what was conveyed by Trump's actions. I didn't intend to imply she's not human. I didn't intend to make fun of her English. Let's go, tough guy. Where has all that bravery gone? Where's that loud voice that was so quick to belittle a female security guard? Davidson let out a soft whimper, his eyes darting around in a frantic search. Take action. Trump's laughter was chilling. Your protection will not assist you. Now they understand the consequences of standing in the way of a man defending his wife's honor. He faced the guards. Is that not correct? The sentinels acknowledged with a subtle nod, maintaining their space. Now Trump's voice fell into a perilous hush. Allow me to share an insight about true strength. True strength lies not in overpowering those who are defenseless. He stood directly before Davidson, who had nearly dissolved into the vehicle behind him. True strength lies in advocating for what is just. It seems you might not be fully informed on this topic. I possess rights. Davidson's voice trembled. This is my estate. A subtle smile played across Trump's face. Your estate. He delved into his jacket. You couldn't be more mistaken. In that moment, Trump brandished a document, a satisfied smile gracing his face. This is my estate. I acquired this dealership during my journey here. Davidson's expression shifted quickly, cycling through confusion, disbelief, horror, and ultimately settling into sheer panic. His legs buckled beneath him, and he descended against the car, hitting the showroom floor with a thud. No, his voice was hardly more than a murmur. It's not possible. I am unable to do that. Trump's voice echoed through the showroom, reminiscent of a lack of basic respect for others, a failure to treat employees with the dignity they deserve. He rotated the document, allowing Davidson to catch a glimpse of his signature. You'll never believe what I just accomplished. And my first act as the owner, he paused dramatically. Please, you're fired. Davidson hurriedly got onto his knees. You simply don't grasp it. There are expenses to manage. I am part of a family. Suddenly, one of the employees raised their voice. Relatives? Are you referring to your former spouse who ended the marriage due to your abusive behavior? Be quiet. Davidson let out a piercing scream. Your words were not invited here. Trump's voice resonated powerfully throughout the showroom. I am the sole authority granting permissions at this moment. The sole directive you have is to remain silent until the authorities make their entrance. If you'd prefer not to have me accompany you to the station, I'll make the necessary adjustments. Davidson was nearly in tears at this point. I will extend my apologies to Mrs. Trump. I am willing to do whatever it takes. I sincerely apologize. Trump's laughter was frigid. You missed the opportunity to say you're sorry instead. You picked the wrong woman to cross. He bent closer to Davidson. And now you seek compassion. Now you seek clarity. The previous manager could merely whimper in reply. Allow me to share something with you. Trump's voice resonated throughout the entire showroom. Every action carries its own set of repercussions. You decided to take on the role of a bully. You decided to misuse your authority, and now he stands tall, fully upright. Now you must confront the outcomes of those decisions. Trump faced his staff, declaring that it was a disgrace for the rest of them to have witnessed such behavior without taking action. I recognize your fear of backlash, yet when decent individuals choose silence, malevolence prevails. The piercing wail of police sirens abruptly slices through the atmosphere. Davidson's eyes sparkled with a mix of surprise and urgency as two officers stepped into the showroom, reminiscent of a trapped creature discovering a final avenue for escape. He abruptly straightened, gathering the remnants of his dignity. Thank goodness you all have arrived. His voice oozed with insincere empathy, shifting abruptly from a timid aggressor to an apparently respectable individual. This individual has unlawfully trespassed onto my land and is making threats against me. He poses a threat.